For over 2 decades, one of the biggest software companies on the planet has been fighting this epic, multi-billion-dollar war. But this battle wasn't for the Office desktop. Nope. This was a massive gamble to conquer your living room. This is the story of Xbox. And you really have to ask, why? I mean, back in the late 90s, Microsoft was on top of the world. They completely dominated the PC market. So why on earth would they pick a fight with gaming giants like Sony and Nintendo on their own turf? What was it that drove them to make such an incredibly risky bet? Well, the answer, believe it or not, comes down to one simple emotion: fear. Seriously. Inside Microsoft, people like Bill Gates saw the PlayStation 2 as this kind of Trojan horse. They were terrified that these new consoles were about to become the main entertainment hub in every home, replacing the PC and kicking Microsoft out of the living room for good. They felt like they had no choice but to launch a preemptive strike. And so that strike, it landed in November 2001. It was this massive, heavy black and green box that, frankly, looked a whole lot like a PC. And you know what? That was exactly the point. Microsoft was literally bringing PC architecture right into the console fight against Sony. Looking back, the original Xbox was kind of way ahead of its time. It had a built-in hard drive, which was an absolute game changer compared to the dinky little memory cards the PlayStation 2 used. And that built-in Ethernet port, that was its secret weapon, laying all the groundwork for the future of online gaming. Now, let's be real. In terms of sales, the original Xbox got absolutely crushed. We're talking just 24 million units sold compared to the PlayStation 2's staggering 155 million. But, and this is a huge but, it was not a failure. It successfully built a die-hard, loyal fan base on two unshakable pillars: Halo, the killer app that proved first-person shooters could actually work on a controller, and Xbox Live, the service that basically wrote the rulebook for online console gaming. Okay, so with a foothold established, Microsoft launched its second wave in 2005, the Xbox 360. It was sleeker, it was way more powerful, and for a little while there, it really seemed like everything was going perfectly right. This was supposed to be their golden age, their big chance to finally dethrone Sony. See, Microsoft learned a really important lesson from their first try. They launched the Xbox 360 a full year before the PlayStation 3 came out. That head start, combined with a much more attractive price point, $400 versus PS3's jaw-dropping $600, gave them a massive early advantage. But then, disaster. A hardware failure so infamous it got its own name: the Red Ring of Death. Early consoles were overheating and just dying at a truly alarming rate. Some estimates put the failure rate as high as 54%. It was a complete engineering nightmare that honestly threatened to kill the entire Xbox brand. So, what did that nightmare cost Microsoft? Over $1 billion. Let that sink in for a second. $1 billion. All of it spent on warranty extensions and free repairs just to try and save their reputation. They managed to survive, but the damage was just immense. Now, despite that whole Red Ring fiasco, the Xbox 360 was, in the end, a hard-fought success. But maybe, just maybe, that success led to a little bit of arrogance. Because the 2013 reveal of the Xbox One, wow. It's now taught as a case study in how to completely and totally misunderstand your own audience. I mean, at the grand unveiling of their brand new gaming console, the thing Microsoft obsessed over was television. The phrase Xbox Watch TV became this instant meme, a perfect symbol for a company that just seemed to have completely forgotten what its customers actually cared about: playing games. Oh, but it was so much worse than just a bad presentation. They announced all these new policies that just felt actively hostile to gamers. A required internet check-in every 24 hours, a system that essentially banned used games, and a mandatory camera that jacked the price up. And to top it all off, the console itself was weaker than the competition. The backlash was, as you can imagine, immediate and brutal. So Microsoft tried to explain this complicated vision they had for a digital-first future, where your game discs were tied forever to a single account. This would have completely killed the used game market, and you couldn't even lend a game to a friend. And then, Sony delivered the knockout blow. It was brilliant and absolutely brutal. At the E3 gaming conference, they released this dead simple, devastatingly effective video showing how you share games on the PlayStation 4. The answer? You just give it to your friend. That video went viral, and in about 30 seconds, it framed Sony as the champion of gamers and just completely humiliated Microsoft. The backlash was so bad, something had to change. And it did. In 2014, a new leader, Phil Spencer, took over the entire Xbox division. The crucial thing here is that Spencer was a gamer himself, and he began what would become one of the biggest, most impressive turnarounds in the brand's entire history. His strategy? It was simple, really, but also incredibly effective. First, he just listened. He immediately reversed all those unpopular online and used game policies. Then, he put the focus squarely back on content, buying up game studios and launching the subscription service Game Pass. He championed all these consumer-friendly features like backward compatibility, slowly rebuilding trust one smart decision at a time. And what you see under Spencer's leadership is that the whole goal for Xbox has fundamentally changed. I mean, they're not just trying to sell more boxes than Sony anymore. They're playing a totally different game now. Just look at their latest generation of consoles. They launched with 2 of them, which was an absolutely genius move. You've got the super powerful Series X for the hardcore players, and then the smaller, much cheaper Series S, which is the perfect entry point for the casual market. All of a sudden, they were competing at both the high and low ends of the market at the exact same time. Then came the bombshell, the move that sent shockwaves through the entire industry. Microsoft spent, get this, nearly $69 billion to buy Activision Blizzard, one of the biggest game publishers in the world. It was the largest deal in the history of gaming, a statement of intent so massive it's almost hard to wrap your head around. So you have to ask, why? Why spend that kind of money? Well, it all circles back to one thing: Game Pass, the so-called Netflix for games. This is the new heart of the entire Xbox strategy. It's one monthly fee that gets you access to hundreds of games, including massive new releases on the day they come out. It completely upends the economics of gaming. What that Activision deal really did was give Microsoft the keys to the kingdom. We're talking some of the biggest franchises in history: Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Diablo, even Candy Crush. The goal wasn't just to get more exclusives, it was to acquire a mountain of must-have content to fuel Game Pass. So this really spells out the fundamental shift, right? The old war was all about selling more plastic boxes than the other guy. Simple. The new war? It's all about gaining subscribers. The metric that matters isn't hardware units sold anymore, it's monthly active users. And the battlefield isn't just your living room TV, it's any screen you own. Which brings us all the way back around to the big question. After 23 years, after billions and billions of dollars spent, after all these massive strategic pivots, is the goal still just to beat PlayStation? Maybe not. Maybe Microsoft finally realized the only way to win the console war was to stop playing it. Their ambition now seems so much bigger. It seems to be about building an ecosystem where you can play great games anywhere, on any device you want. They're not just trying to win the console war anymore. It feels like they're trying to make the whole idea of a console war totally irrelevant.